No fridge, no sugar, not even a root cellar. And yet, Amish families manage to keep oranges fresh for over 6 months. They don't freeze them. They don't candy them. They don't drown them in syrup. They preserve them whole, in a way that keeps the flavor, the texture, and even the scent. It's a method passed quietly from one kitchen to the next. Simple, subtle, and surprisingly powerful. The best part? It doesn't stop at oranges. Peaches, pears, apples, even citrus peels, all preserved without spoiling and without losing their goodness. If you've ever wondered how fruit used to survive winter before refrigeration, this is how. Start with fresh, firm oranges or mandarins if you prefer something sweeter. No bruises, no soft spots. The better the fruit, the better it holds. Give them a quick rinse under cold water. Then peel and segment them carefully, removing the white pith as best you can. That's what turns bitter during storage. Don't leave thick pith on the fruit. It'll cloud the flavor later on. Now get your jars ready. Wipe each one with a bit of vinegar to remove any grease or residue. Then place them in boiling water for 10 minutes to fully sterilize, along with the lids and rings. Clean jars mean fewer chances for mold, spoilage, or weak seals. Next, begin packing the orange segments neatly into the jars. Don't crush them, just fill gently, leaving about ½ inch of headspace at the top. Now pour hot, clean water into the jar until it just covers the fruit. This is where Amish canning stand apart. No sugar, no syrup, just hot water to let the fruit preserve itself naturally. Don't use chlorinated tap water. It can affect both the taste and the seal. Take a debubbling tool or a wooden skewer and slide it gently around the inside of the jar to release any hidden air bubbles. Air pockets can weaken your seal over time. Then wipe the rim of the jar with a clean cloth. Place the lid in the center and screw the ring on finger tight, not too loose, not too tight. Now it's time for the water bath. Place the jars in a canner or deep pot with boiling water that covers them by at least 1 inch. 4 8-ounce jars process for 10 minutes. 4 16-ounce jars give it 15 minutes. And if you live over 1,000 feet above sea level, add 5 more minutes. Once the time's up, carefully lift the jars out and place them on a towel to cool. As they sit, you'll hear that soft, satisfying pop, a sign that the jar has sealed properly. For extra sealing strength, some Amish women turn the jars upside down while cooling. It's optional, but it works. Let the jars sit undisturbed for 12 to 24 hours. When fully sealed, you'll have citrus that keeps its flavor and color for up to 6 months, with no sugar, no preservatives, and no loss of nutrition. It's the simplest way to taste summer, even in the heart of winter. If you've ever canned citrus at home, especially without sugar, leave your tips in the comments. Your method might help someone new get it just right. Whenever people hear that the Amish preserve oranges without sugar or refrigeration, a few natural questions come up. Let's walk through the ones we hear most often. Does heating destroy the vitamin C in oranges? Yes, some of it. Heat does reduce vitamin C, but not all of it is lost. What remains is still nutritious, and you're preserving the fiber, flavor, and shelf life, which matters even more when fresh fruit isn't available. Do you have to add sugar? No. Many assume canning requires syrup, but that's not the case here. You can use light syrup or sweeteners like monk fruit if you like. But the Amish usually don't. They rely on clean fruit and hot water alone, and it still holds beautifully. Can I reuse jars or lids from store-bought food? It's tempting, but it's not worth the risk. Old jars can have hairline cracks, and used lids rarely seal properly a second time. The Amish stick with mason jars and new lids because 1 week seal can ruin an entire batch. What's that white stuff floating in the jar? It's not mold. Usually it's leftover pith or small air pockets that got trapped. Still safe, but it can look strange. To avoid it, remove as much white pith as possible and always use a debubbling tool before sealing. Is this method safe for long-term storage? Yes, as long as the process is followed properly. A sealed lid and a cool, dark shelf are all it takes. Most jars last 6 to 12 months, and often longer if the seal holds. Simple materials. Simple method. Just a little care, and fruit that lasts long after the season ends. The Amish don't just stop with oranges. They've been preserving all kinds of fruit, quietly, effectively, and without waste. Here's how they do it. Pears. They choose firm, underripe pears, easier to handle, and they hold shape in the jar. The slices are lightly poached, then packed into jars with hot water or a very thin syrup if desired. Process time, 15 minutes for pints, 20 minutes for quarts. Peaches. First they blanch the peaches in hot water, then peel and slice. Those slices go straight into jars, often just with boiling water, though some add syrup if the peaches are tart. Peaches are acidic enough for a simple water bath. No pressure canner needed. Apples. You'll find plenty of apple slices tucked into Amish pantries, sometimes in light cinnamon water, sometimes plain. And of course, homemade applesauce sealed in jars, often without a grain of sugar. Just soft apples, a wooden spoon, and time. Grapes. Whole grapes, red or green, are gently packed into jars and covered with boiling water. Some Amish add a clove or a cinnamon stick to give them a warm, spiced flavor for winter. They're beautiful on the shelf and surprisingly fresh-tasting when opened. Berries. Soft fruits like blackberries or strawberries are usually turned into jam, jelly, or syrups. These are then water bath canned in small jars. Sugar is more common here, not for flavor, but to help set the texture and improve storage. Fruit mixtures. Sometimes the most treasured jars aren't just one fruit. You'll find Amish women sharing things like peach-orange preserves or citrus berry marmalades, made in small batches and bartered among neighbors. They're sweet, tangy, and packed with whatever was ripest that week. These methods stretch a harvest. They bring color to the winter table. And they prove once again that you don't need sugar or electricity to keep food full of life. In an Amish kitchen, nothing is wasted, not even the peels. After the jars are sealed and cooling, the leftover orange rinds are just getting started. Candied citrus peels. Peels are sliced into thin strips, then gently simmered in a mixture of natural sugar and water. Once softened, they're laid out to dry, becoming chewy, sweet treats that last for weeks in a jar. Sometimes they're shared during holidays, tucked into lunch baskets, or saved for baking. Citrus vinegar cleaner. Peels are placed in a jar and covered with white vinegar. After a few weeks, you've got a powerful, natural cleaning solution, safe for wood, counters, and even windows. No artificial scent, just the clean, fresh smell of orange oil. Fire starters. Don't toss that dry peel. Once it's fully dehydrated, it becomes a natural fire starter. The oils in citrus skin catch flame easily. Perfect for wood stoves, outdoor ovens, or winter hearths. Dehydrated peel powder. Peels can also be dried and ground into a powder, used as a spice in baking, or added to tea for a citrusy lift. A pinch goes a long way, and it holds for months in a dry jar. Nothing is discarded because every part of the fruit has a use. The Amish live by a simple principle. If something can be reused, reworked, or repurposed, it should be. Even the scraps become something useful, or even beautiful. Even with the simplest methods, small mistakes can ruin a good batch. Here are the most common missteps and how to avoid them. Not sterilizing jars properly. This is the most common cause of mold or cloudy jars. Jars should always be wiped clean with vinegar, then boiled or steam sterilized before use. A clean jar gives the fruit a clean start. Overfilling or underfilling. Too much water, and the jar might leak or fail to seal during processing. Too little, and there won't be enough steam pressure to form a safe seal. Leave half an inch of headspace for best results. That little gap matters. Skipping the debubbling step. Trapped air can cause the fruit to float, discolor, or even spoil. Use a wooden skewer or debubbling tool. Slide it down the sides of the jar gently after adding liquid. You'll see bubbles rise right away. Incorrect processing time for jar size. A 16-ounce jar needs more time than an 8-ounce one. Underprocessing leads to spoilage. Follow the timing exactly. 8 ounces equals 10 minutes. 16 ounces equals 15 minutes. Add 5 minutes more if you're over 1,000 foot elevation. Not labeling jars. It's easy to forget when a batch was made, especially if you've got a shelf full of fruit. Use a bit of masking tape or a label to mark the date and contents. That way you always know what's still safe and what should be eaten soon. Store finished jars in a cool, dark place, a root cellar, pantry, or even a cabinet that stays out of the sun. That's where flavor stays true, and the seal holds longest. These aren't hard rules, just quiet habits that help food last longer, taste better, and stay safe. The world's moving faster than ever, but in Amish kitchens, not much has changed. And maybe that's exactly why their methods matter more today than ever before. When you can your own oranges without sugar, without a fridge, you're doing more than just saving food. You're building self-sufficiency. You're preparing for the times when store shelves are empty or the power goes out, and there's nothing in the freezer. As food prices climb, this becomes more than tradition. It's a solution, a quiet way to push back against the noise. No special gadgets. No preservatives. Just fruit, hot water, and patience. And maybe that's the most beautiful part. For some, these jars bring back memories of grandparents in the kitchen or summer afternoons spent peeling peaches. For others, it's a brand new skill, one that feels ancient, yet perfectly relevant. And every year, more people are coming back to these ways, not because they have to, but because they work. If you grew up canning, or if you're just starting and want to learn more, let us know in the comments. These old ways are coming back for a reason, and there's still time to pass them on. So what we just see? You can take a fresh orange, preserve it without a fridge, without sugar, and without depending on anything you have to plug in. And it stays shelf-stable for months. No waste. No rush to eat it before it spoils. Just quiet food security and a jar that's ready when you are. Even the peels are put to use. It's simple, clean, and it works. Start small. Try one jar. Once you see it on your shelf and taste it weeks later, you'll understand why these methods are still alive today. If you found this useful, hit like and subscribe. We're sharing more Amish preserving wisdom every week. One method at a time. One season at a time.